I'm Kevin Nelson. Here's a look at what's going on this week in the news. We begin the news from around the country. Archbishop Joseph Naumann, the chairman of the U.S. Conference of Catholic Bishops Committee on Pro-Life Activities, said New York State's new law allowing abortion essentially for any reason through all 9 months of pregnancy and similar legislation proposed in Virginia and other states is evil, pure, and simple. The Archbishop went on to say that it is dishonest to claim that women's lives or health depend on intentionally killing their children. This is especially true, he said, for late-term abortion, which always involves the purposeful destruction of a child which could have been born alive, with much less risk to the mother had they both received real health care. On January 22nd, New York Governor Andrew Cuomo signed into law the Reproductive Health Act, which now permits abortions with very few restrictions at any week of a pregnancy. New York lawmakers stood up and cheered after Cuomo signed the bill, and the needle atop the One World Trade Center was lit in pink in celebration. In Virginia, a bill to allow an abortion even at delivery was ultimately tabled by a subcommittee of the House of Delegates. Remarks in support of the bill by Virginia Governor Ralph Northam, who is a former pediatric neurosurgeon, were met with a storm of protest by pro-life leaders. Archbishop Naumann said local action to fight these kind of state measures is crucial. He urged Catholics to rededicate themselves to prayer and fighting for the most vulnerable among us, especially unborn children and their mothers. In news from around the world, as part of Pope Francis's visit to the United Arab Emirates, he participated in an interreligious meeting with some 700 religious leaders. The meeting was sponsored by the Abu Dhabi-based International Muslim Council of Elders and was promoted as a key part of the UAE's declaration of 2019 as the Year of Tolerance.
The interreligious human fraternity meeting took place in a special atmosphere. It was at dusk in front of the monument of the founder of the United Arab Emirates, Zayed bin Sultan Al Nahyan. The Crown Prince of the Emirates, along with the Sunni spiritual guide and the Pope, began the meeting with this expressive gesture. The three arrived at the site holding hands. The Crown Prince opened the meeting, then the Sunni Imam Al-Tayyib condemned manipulating religion for war and terrorism, which has done so much damage to Islam. During his speech, the Pope denounced the use of God's name to justify violence.
Nel nome di Dio creatore dunque va senza esitazione condannata ogni forma di violenza, perché è una grave profanazione del nome di Dio.
Pope Francis said he came to the Emirates as a brother who seeks peace with other brothers. He said the name of the Creator who unites Christians and Muslims cannot be honored if every human life is not guarded. He also added that religions must immediately take action in this way.
Contribuire attivamente a smilitarizzare il cuore dell'uomo. La guerra non sa creare altro che miseria. Sotto i nostri occhi sono le sue nefaste conseguenze. Penso in particolare allo Yemen, alla Siria, all'Iraq, alla Libia.
The Pope closed his speech by asking the participants in the meeting to do what unites them all: pray. Pray for peace. Then, together with the Grand Imam Al-Tayyib, the Pope signed a joint declaration for universal fraternity. It was an unprecedented and ambitious gesture. They made a list of rights that they will promote throughout the world. It says faith leads a believer to see in the other a brother or sister, to be supported and loved. Both leaders pledged to protect and defend the rights of women, the elderly, children, and minorities. They will also call on other world leaders to do the same.
Before going to the interreligious meeting, Pope Francis had visited Abu Dhabi's Sheik Zayed Grand Mosque, which can host more than 40,000 worshippers at a time and is one of the largest mosques in the world. At the mosque, which was finished in 2007, the Pope met privately with the Muslim Council of Elders for about 30 minutes.
This impressive Sheik Zayed Mosque that Pope Francis visited on his second day in the United Arab Emirates seems like it could be out of a movie. The Pope arrived in a small car and Imam Ahmed Al-Tayyib went out to meet him. He's the spiritual guide of 1,100 million Sunni Muslims and the great Imam of Al-Azhar University. In this mosque, Pope Francis visited the tomb of the founder of the United Arab Emirates, Zayed bin Sultan Al Nahyan. The Pope held a private 30-minute meeting with the Muslim Council for the Elderly. According to the Vatican, they highlighted the importance of the meeting's culture to reinforce their commitment to dialogue and peace. The Sheikh Zayed Mosque is the largest in the UAE. It takes up more than 215,000 square feet and is the 15th largest in the world for the number of people it can hold.
And finally in the news, in a lengthy interview published by L'Osservatore Romano, Cardinal Fernando Filoni, prefect of the Congregation for the Evangelization of Peoples, talked about the Catholic Church's process of reconciliation in China. Cardinal Filoni likened the unique nature of the division, which came after the Communist Party established the People's Republic of China in 1949, to a large boulder falling from a mountain and stopping the flow of water of the Catholic faith. One part of the water flowed underground, while the other part continued to twist and turn on the surface. The Vatican's work, he said, has been about rediscovering the unity of the two currents, but it was not and is still not easy. The Cardinal said the Vatican has spent decades trying to foster reconciliation between two Catholic communities, those that have refused to register with the government and refused to follow government-appointed bishops, which is commonly referred to as the underground church, and those who have registered with the government, which is called the Chinese Patriotic Catholic Association. In September, the Vatican and China signed a provisional agreement over the appointment of bishops. The agreement allowed, for the first time in decades, for all of the Catholic bishops in China to be in full communion with the Pope. The Pope received into full communion 7 bishops who had been ordained with government approval, but not the Vatican's consent. Well, that is all the information we have for you this time. I'm Kevin Nelson. Don't forget, you can keep up to date on Catholic news throughout the week with Catholic Newsbreak right here on the Catholic TV network.